Truck driver gave a ride to a freezing teen, then his photo went viral. Marcus Chen pulled his 18-wheeler onto the shoulder of Interstate 80, his headlights cutting through the blizzard that had turned Wyoming into a white nightmare. Something had caught his eye, a dark shape huddled against the guardrail, barely visible through the swirling snow. He climbed down from the cab, wind immediately biting through his jacket. As he got closer, he realized it was a kid, maybe 16 or 17, crouched in a thin hoodie that was completely inadequate to -15-degree weather. The boy's lips were blue, his whole body shaking violently. "What's your name?" Marcus asked, wrapping the blankets around the shivering boy. "Hey, you okay?" Marcus shouted over the wind. The teenager looked up with glazed eyes, barely able to focus. He tried to speak but could only manage a weak nod. Marcus didn't hesitate. He grabbed the kid under his arms and half-carried, half-dragged him to the truck. Once inside the warm cab, Marcus cranked the heat to maximum and grabbed the emergency blankets he kept behind the seats. Marcus reached for his thermos of hot coffee and poured some into the cap. "Small sips," he instructed. "You've got hypothermia. We need to get you to a hospital." Jake, the kid stammered through chattering teeth. "But before we continue, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. And don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel." Jake's hand trembled as he took the coffee. No, hospital, please. At least let me drive you somewhere warm," Marcus offered. "There's a truck stop about 40 miles ahead. We'll figure things out there." Marcus studied him carefully. The fear in Jake's eyes was about more than just being cold. This kid was running from something. Marcus had driven trucks for 23 years and had seen enough troubled kids to recognize the signs. The question was whether he should respect the boy's wishes or do what was clearly the safe thing. Jake nodded slowly, and Marcus put the truck in gear. As they merged back onto the highway, Marcus noticed something odd. Jake kept glancing at the side mirror, his body tensing every time another vehicle passed them. The kid wasn't just cold and scared, he was terrified of being found. "You want to tell me what you're running from?" Marcus asked gently. Jake pulled the blanket tighter. "You wouldn't believe me if I told you." Those words sent a chill down Marcus's spine that had nothing to do with the weather outside. "Come on," Marcus said. "Let's get some real food in you." The truck stop emerged from the blizzard, like an oasis of light and warmth. Marcus guided his rig into a parking spot and killed the engine. Jake had finally stopped shivering, but his eyes still held that haunted look that Marcus couldn't shake. Inside the diner, they slid into a booth near the back. Jake kept his hood up, eyes darting toward the entrance every few seconds. Marcus ordered them both hot meals, burgers, fries, soup, the works. When the food arrived, Jake ate like he hadn't seen a meal in days, which Marcus suspected might actually be true. "So," Marcus said, keeping his voice low and non-threatening. "You going to tell me your story, or do I have to guess?" Jake stopped mid-bite, his jaw working as he considered the question. Finally, he set down his burger and pulled out his phone. The screen was cracked, but it still worked. He pulled up a Nines article and slid it across the table. Marcus read the headline, "Local teen missing after witnessing alleged crime, family desperate for answers." The photo showed Jake, clean, smiling, wearing a school basketball uniform. The article was from 3 weeks ago. Marcus felt his stomach drop as he read further. Jake had allegedly witnessed something involving several prominent local officials in his hometown of Cedar Falls, Nebraska. The next day, someone had broken into his family's home. Jake had run. "They told my parents I was making it up," Jake said quietly, "that I was troubled, having delusions. They convinced my mom and dad I needed psychiatric help. Made it very clear what would happen if I talked," Jake finished. "So I ran. Been moving ever since. Sleeping in bus stations, truck stops, anywhere I could stay warm. And the people you saw," Marcus leaned back, processing this. Every instinct told him this kid was telling the truth. But this was also way bigger than just giving someone a ride out of the cold. Marcus's phone buzzed. A text from his wife Linda, saw on the news about the blizzard. "You okay? We need to call someone," Marcus said. "The police, FBI, someone." "No," Jake's voice came out louder than intended, causing several nearby truckers to glance over. He lowered his voice. "They have connections everywhere. That's why I kept moving. Every time I stayed in one place too long, someone would show up asking questions. Looking for me." Jake turned the phone around. It was a Facebook post from a trucking enthusiast page that Marcus vaguely recognized. Someone had taken a photo grainy shot through a truck stop window of Marcus and Jake sitting in this very booth. "What is it?" Marcus asked. He texted back quickly that he was fine, then looked at Jake. The kid was staring at his own phone now, his face going pale. Marcus felt his pulse quicken. "We need to move. Now." The caption read, "Anyone know this trucker and the kid? Kid matches description of missing teen Jake Morrison from Nebraska. Sharing for awareness." The post had been up for 7 minutes and already had 43 shares. They left money on the table and headed for the door. But Marcus's mind was racing. The photo was already out there, spreading. Within hours, maybe less, Jake's face would be recognized by someone who'd call the wrong people. Back in the truck, Marcus sat behind the wheel, hands gripping the steering wheel. He'd planned to drive his usual route to Denver, drop his load, and head home to Linda. Simple, safe. But now he had a terrified teenager in his cab, and a viral photo that was probably being seen by thousands of people, including whoever Jake was running from. "I should just get out," Jake said, reaching for the door handle. "You've done enough. I don't want to drag you into this." One comment made his blood run cold. "Got a positive ID. That's Marcus Chen, drives for Western Freight. Usually runs the I-80 corridor." He pulled out his phone and scrolled through the Facebook post. The comments were exploding. Most people were supportive, saying they hoped the kid was safe. But others were different. Several accounts, all created within the last month, were asking specific questions. Which truck stop? What truck was it? Anyone recognized the rig? "Stop," Marcus said firmly. "You get out in this weather without a plan, you'll be dead in an hour. Let me think." Jake's face crumbled. "I'm so sorry, I never meant." "They know who I am," Marcus said, showing Jake the screen. "Hey, none of that," Marcus interrupted. "We're past that now, we need a plan. You said you saw something involving local officials. What exactly did you see?" The chief walked right up to me, smiled, and said, "You didn't see anything, right, Jake?" I nodded, went back inside, but I was scared. So I told my parents. We went to the state police the next day, but before we could give a full statement, somehow the chief found out. That's when everything changed. Suddenly I was the problem. They painted me as unstable. My parents didn't know what to believe. Jake took a shaky breath. I was working my shift at the gas station. Late night, around 11. A car pulled up. Nice sedan, black. 3 guys got out. I recognized 2 of them immediately. Mayor Hendricks and Police Chief Rawlings. The 3rd guy I didn't know. They went around back where the cameras don't reach. I was taking out trash 10 minutes later and heard them talking. The unknown guy handed the chief a bag. I could see it was full of cash. They were talking about shipments, routes, protection money. Then they saw me. "And they threatened you." His phone rang. "Linda." Marcus's mind was working. This wasn't just some local corruption, this was organized, connected, and dangerous. And now he was involved whether he liked it or not. "Hey honey," he answered, trying to keep his voice steady. "Marcus, what's going on?" "Someone just sent me a Facebook post with your truck in it. Something about a missing kid." "Linda, I need you to listen carefully," he said. "That kid is in my truck right now. He's safe, but this is complicated." Marcus closed his eyes. Of course Linda had seen it. She followed several trucking pages, always worried about him on the road, always wanting to stay connected to his world. He could hear her sharp intake of breath. "Marcus, if he's a runaway, you need to call the police. You could get in serious trouble. It's not that simple. He's running from the police, or at least from people connected to them. He witnessed something bad, and now people want to keep him quiet." There was a long pause. Marcus knew his wife well enough to know she was processing, thinking through options. Linda was a high school guidance counselor. She'd dealt with troubled kids before.